You have come to $10,000 and you don't know what to do with it? Let's go through a few different options to maximize your return on that money. Now, since I don't know your individual situation, I will go through some different scenarios, so you can pick the best versions for you. Scenario number 1 will be you have debt. If you don't, you can skip to the next section. Scenario number 2 will be you have the 10K, but not much more besides that. And scenario number 3, you're pretty much financially settled and you have an extra 10K. So let's start with scenario number 1, you have debt. And then naturally, the number one thing you can do with the 10K is to pay off your debt. Now, it might seem not very exciting to use the money for this, but the psychological effect of this will be priceless. Because having debt causes financial stress. People who are financially stressed, who have money problems, they are distracted by this in almost every area of life. Especially at work, you might not be as productive as you could be, and therefore you might even decrease your earning capacity by, for example, not getting the promotion. So one positive aspect of paying off your debt can be that you can focus more on your career. But paying off debt has not just psychological benefits, but also obviously financial ones. If you have a high interest rate, let's say 15%, you can get an instant return of 15% just by paying off the debt because you're saving the interest rate. And to get a 15% return anywhere is actually not that easy. You can also improve your credit score and then save money further down the line. And by paying off your debt, you allow yourself for long-term financial planning. So depending on how high your debt is and also what kind of debt it is, I would put 100% of that money, so the whole 10K, towards it. Except maybe when you only have a mortgage where an early repayment is not part of the plan. If you pay off your debt and there is still something left afterwards, that's great. Then we can enter the next scenario, and that is you have the 10K, but not much more besides that. And then the second thing I recommend you to do with that money is to build financial security. In other words, your emergency fund. More than half of America's population is not able to afford a $1,000 emergency. That's an alarming number. So to protect yourself from unforeseeable financial emergencies, you can put away some of the 10K or at least part of it to protect yourself. And you should put it somewhere where you can access it fast but are still not tempted to use it for your daily expenses. I already made a video about the emergency fund. I will link it here somewhere and you can watch it later. Number 3 you can use the money for is to invest in your skills. As Warren Buffett said, investing in yourself is the best thing you can do. And generally speaking, I would say all education is good, but I would like to take a moment to specify the notion invest in your skills. Because an investment in the sense that we're using it here is something that gives you a return for the financial part of your life. So taking a cooking class is also some kind of education, and it might increase your well-being, it might also increase your health, but if you don't work as a chef, the financial return of it will be close to zero. So if you want to put a larger sum of the 10K towards your education, make sure it really has the potential to increase your earning capacity. Now, I would say that there are some universal skills that will help you no matter what your job is, and that is communication, like public speaking or also negotiating, that is writing, and that is also learning. Jim Quick calls this meta learning, so to learn how to learn. And that is obviously something that can get you far ahead anywhere. Then there are also specialized skills, for example financial literacy. So if you invest in books or into courses that help you with your personal finance, that will have a financial return for you, hopefully, unless it's a 10K course on day trading. And there will also be skills that help you in your line of work. For example, I'm running this YouTube channel since a couple of months, and I hope that at some point it will earn me some money. So I invested into a course of how to become a YouTuber. It's run by my favorite YouTuber, Ali Abdal, and it's called the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. I put a link to it in the video description if you're interested. And that is something that is directly tied to one of my career paths that I've chosen. So you might also find something similar for your specific line of work. And I would also like to note here that you should put it in proportion. Especially if you have the 10K but not much more than that, you probably shouldn't spend the whole thing on education, unless it might have a really high ROI, which is return on investment. At this point, I would also like to mention a concept of behavioral economics, and that is mental accounting. Mental accounting means that we use those different boxes in our head for accounts. And sometimes this can lead to irrational decisions. That's why it's also called the mental accounting bias. And that, for example, would be the case if you ignore your debt and all the money you have extra you either spend or you put it into low interest rate savings accounts. But I personally think that we can use mental accounting to our advantage to build wealth. And so what I would recommend most of the time, if you have a pile of money like the 10K, is dividing it into portions and put it towards different things. So for the investing into your skills part, I, for example, would suggest maybe 1 to 10%. Again, if it fits your unique situation, you can also put more. Then another portion you could, for example, put to number 4, and that will be invest in assets. Now this this will fit scenario number 3, where you're already financially settled, at least when it comes to your debt and your emergency fund. And as of this stage, it's going to be about letting your money work for you. So what are assets? Assets can be a retirement fund, especially when there are tax advantages attached to it. Assets are also stocks. So when you plan on investing over a long time and your risk tolerance allows it, you can use that option. If you've watched some other of my videos, you will know by now that I am a fan of well-diversified, low-cost index funds. If your time horizon is shorter or you have a very low risk tolerance, you can also keep that money in cash or put it into bonds or other safe investments. Or if you even have already decided on an asset allocation, that means how much you want to keep in safe investments and how much you're going to keep in risky investments, then you can also put the money accordingly into those buckets. I will not dive deeper into riskier investments here because I would only recommend it if you have at least 6 figures invested. If you have, there's probably no reason for you to watch this video. But I mean, if it's the case, you can also take the 10K to experiment a little bit. And number 5 is to reward yourself. Because no matter how you got your hands on that 10K, you should enjoy having it. Okay, except if you got it illegally. Because rewarding yourself for something you achieved is important to increase your confidence because it actively lets you recognize your success. I personally have a whole reward list, so for every milestone I hit, I buy something or do something that I would like to, but would not do on a regular basis. I think that being able to invest money and also spend it in the right way are both important skills when it comes to money and personal finance. And when you choose a healthy split, you feel like you act responsibly around money, and that also increases your money confidence. And there are also a few other benefits that come with spending your money for something that you enjoy and you appreciate. And that is that it creates a positive connection for your brain between money and the things that make you happy. That's important for your money psychology. It also makes you feel a little bit rich and creates that abundance mindset. And by connecting something you achieved with something that you enjoy, you also increase your motivation to keep going, for example, to keep saving. Of course, also for the reward, it's important to keep it reasonable. I would probably say that 0.5 to 5% is a good rule of thumb, and you can see that as an investment into your money mindset. If you're now wondering into which well-diversified index fund you could invest that money in, you might be interested in this video next, where I go through some simple options for beginners. I hope I gave you some inspiration here. Thank you for watching, and I hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.